There are moments in life that don't feel random, moments where something inside you quietly tells you to pause, to stop, to listen, and maybe this is one of those moments for you right now, because out of everything you could be doing, out of all the places your attention could be, you are here, and even if you don't fully understand why, something in your heart needed this, not more noise, not more pressure, but a sense of peace. Because lately life hasn't felt the way you expected it to. Things haven't fallen into place the way you planned, answers haven't come when you needed them, and even though you've continued moving forward, there has been a quiet feeling within you, like something is missing, not in a physical way but in a deeper emotional sense, and you've probably been thinking more than usual, about your future, your direction, your purpose, trying to understand if you are truly on the right path. And that kind of thinking, even though it feels necessary, can slowly become exhausting, because no matter how much you think, clarity does not always come, and instead of answers you often find more questions, more doubts, more uncertainty, and over time that turns into pressure to figure everything out, pressure to make the right choices, pressure to not fall behind, and without even realizing it, you begin carrying your entire future in your mind every single day. Thinking about what's next, what could go wrong, what you should be doing differently, and that weight becomes heavy, not because you are weak, but because you were never meant to carry all of that alone, and in this moment God is reminding you of something simple but powerful, that you can slow down, that you do not have to rush your life, that you do not need to solve everything tonight, and that you do not need to have every answer before taking your next step, because right now you are not behind, you are not failing, you are simply in a phase where things are still unfolding, where clarity has not fully revealed itself yet, and that can feel uncomfortable, it can feel uncertain. But it does not mean you are lost, it means you are in the middle of a process that is shaping you, teaching you, and guiding you in ways you may not fully see yet, and even if your mind keeps searching for certainty, even if part of you wants everything to make sense immediately, there is another part of you that is beginning to understand that not everything needs to be figured out all at once, that it is okay to take life step by step, that it is okay to move forward without having complete clarity, because sometimes the path becomes clear only after you start walking on it, and right now you are being guided to trust that even in uncertainty there is direction, even in confusion there is growth, and even in stillness there is movement happening within you, and instead of rushing through this moment or trying to escape it, maybe this is the time to sit with it, to breathe, to allow yourself to feel a sense of calm without needing to control everything, because peace is not something that comes after you solve your entire life, it is something you create when you allow yourself to slow down, when you stop forcing answers, and when you trust that things are unfolding in their own time. And in this moment you are being reminded that you are going to be okay. Not because everything is perfect, but because you are learning, growing, and becoming someone who can handle life with more clarity, more patience, and more strength than before, and that is enough, more than enough, for where you are right now. And as you continue moving forward, there is something deeper you may not have fully acknowledged yet, and that is how much you have been carrying on your own, how many moments you have handled quietly without asking for help, how many times you have told yourself to stay strong even when you felt unsure inside, because not everything you go through is visible to others, some of the heaviest things are the ones that stay in your thoughts, the ones that return when you are alone, the ones that make you question whether you are doing enough or if you are somehow falling short, and maybe there were situations recently where things did not go the way you expected, plans that didn't work out, efforts that didn't bring the results you hoped for, or moments where you felt like you were trying your best but still not seeing progress, and that kind of experience can slowly affect the way you see yourself. It can create doubt. It can make you wonder if you need to do more, be more, or somehow change everything all at once. And even though you didn't stop, even though you kept going, there were moments when it felt heavy, moments when your energy felt low, when your mind felt tired, and when your motivation was not as strong as it used to be, but you still showed up, you still handled your responsibilities, you still kept moving forward, and that matters more than you realize. Because strength is not always about feeling confident or having everything under control. Sometimes strength is simply continuing despite uncertainty. Sometimes it is choosing not to give up even when things feel unclear, and that quiet persistence you have shown, that willingness to keep going even when it felt difficult, is something that is shaping you in a powerful way, even if you cannot see the results yet, because not all progress is visible immediately. Some of it happens beneath the surface, in the way your mindset is changing, in the way you are learning to handle situations differently, in the way you are becoming more aware of your thoughts and your reactions, and that kind of growth takes time. It does not happen overnight, it builds slowly through experiences like the ones you are going through right now. And even if part of you feels like you should be further ahead, like things should already be clearer or more stable, it is important to understand that your journey is not behind schedule. It is unfolding at its own pace, in a way that is preparing you for what is ahead, because every challenge you face, every moment of uncertainty, every time you push through doubt and keep going, you are building something within yourself that will support you later, something that will help you handle future situations with more strength and more clarity, and instead of being hard on yourself for what has not worked out yet, maybe this is the moment to recognize how much you have already done, how much you have already handled, and how much you have already grown, because the version of you right now is not the same as before. You are more aware, more resilient, and more capable than you give yourself credit for, and that matters, even if the results are not fully visible yet, even if things are still coming together, and God is reminding you that none of your effort has been wasted, none of your struggles have been meaningless. Everything you are going through is contributing to your growth in ways that will make sense with time, and even though it may not feel easy right now, even though there are still questions and uncertainties, you are still moving forward, you are still progressing. And in the middle of everything you have been feeling, there is a quiet shift beginning to take place within you, even if you have not fully recognized it yet. Because this phase is not just about what is happening around you, it is about what is changing inside you, the way you are starting to see things differently, the way you are beginning to respond instead of react, and the way you are slowly learning that not everything needs to be controlled in order for things to work out, because in the past, uncertainty may have made you anxious. It may have caused you to overthink every possible outcome, to imagine worst-case scenarios, and to feel like you needed to have everything figured out before taking even a single step forward. But now, even if it feels uncomfortable at times, you are beginning to understand something deeper, that life does not move in straight lines, that clarity does not always come before action, and that sometimes the only way to understand where you are going is to keep moving even when the path is not fully clear, and this realization, even though it may feel small, is actually very powerful, because it is changing the way you experience uncertainty. It is helping you move from a place of fear to a place of trust, even if that trust is still developing, and that is what growth looks like. It is not always loud or obvious. Sometimes it happens quietly, in your thoughts, in your awareness, and in the way you choose to handle moments that once overwhelmed you, and right now you are learning how to pause instead of panic, how to take a breath instead of letting your thoughts spiral endlessly, and how to remind yourself that not every situation needs an immediate answer, and that shift is creating space within you, space where your mind can rest, space where your emotions can settle, and space where clarity can begin to appear naturally instead of being forced, because when you stop trying to control every detail, you release a kind of pressure that you may not have even realized you were carrying, and in that release, you begin to feel lighter, calmer, and more grounded, even if your external situation has not fully changed yet, and that is important, because peace does not come from having a perfect life, it comes from having a stable and calm way of moving through life, and that is exactly what you are developing right now, a stronger inner foundation, one that is not easily shaken by uncertainty, one that does not immediately fall into doubt or fear when things are unclear, and even if you still have moments where your mind goes back to overthinking, that is okay, because this is a process, and every time you become aware of it and gently bring yourself back to calm, you are strengthening that new way of thinking, and over time, that will become more natural to you, and you will find yourself reacting less and understanding more, worrying less and trusting more, and even if you cannot fully see where this path is leading yet, you can begin to feel that something is changing within you, something that is preparing you for what is ahead, because growth is not just about reaching a destination, it is about becoming the kind of person who can handle that destination when you arrive there, and right now, that is exactly what is happening. You are becoming more patient, more aware, and more resilient, and even though it may not feel easy, it is meaningful, it is necessary. And it is guiding you toward a version of yourself that is stronger and more grounded than before, and God is reminding you that you are not being left in uncertainty without purpose, you are being shaped within it, you are being guided through it, and even when things are not fully clear, you are still moving in the right direction, one step at a time. And as you begin to understand these changes within yourself, there is something even more important that you need to gently accept, something that can release a deep layer of pressure you may have been holding onto without realizing it, and that is this: you do not need to have everything figured out right now, you do not need to map out your entire future in order to feel at peace in the present, and you do not need to carry the weight of every decision all at once, because a big part of what has been exhausting you is not just what is happening around you, but the expectation you have placed on yourself to understand everything immediately, to make perfect choices, and to somehow avoid uncertainty altogether. But life has never worked that way, and it was never meant to, because if everything was clear from the beginning, there would be no growth, no discovery, and no transformation. And right now you are in a space where things are still unfolding, where answers are still forming, and where your path is revealing itself step by step rather than all at once, and even though that can feel uncomfortable, even though part of you may resist it and wish for instant clarity, this is actually where some of the most meaningful growth happens, because it teaches you patience, it teaches you trust, and it teaches you how to move forward even when you do not have complete certainty, and when you begin to accept that you do not need to control everything, something inside you starts to relax, your thoughts become less intense, your mind becomes quieter, and the constant pressure to figure everything out begins to fade, not completely at first, but gradually, in a way that feels more natural and sustainable, and you start to realize that progress is not about having all the answers, it is about taking the next step with the awareness you have right now, and trusting that the next step will become clear when the time is right, and that kind of trust does not mean you will never feel doubt again, it simply means that doubt will no longer control you the way it once did, because you are learning how to move through it instead of getting stuck in it. And that shift is powerful, because it allows you to experience life with more calm and less pressure, more presence and less overthinking, and even if things are not fully where you want them to be yet, you begin to feel a sense of peace that comes from within, not from external results, but from the way you are choosing to approach your journey, and that is something that will stay with you no matter where life takes you, because once you learn how to remain steady within yourself, uncertainty no longer feels as overwhelming as it once did. It becomes something you can face with a clearer and calmer mindset, and God is reminding you in this moment that you are allowed to take your time, you are allowed to move at your own pace, and you are allowed to trust that even if the full picture is not visible yet, you are still exactly where you need to be, learning what you need to learn, growing into who you are meant to become, and moving forward in a way that is preparing you for what lies ahead. So instead of rushing, instead of forcing answers, allow yourself to breathe, allow yourself to move gently, and remind yourself that you do not need to have everything figured out to be on the right path. You simply need to keep going, one step at a time, with patience, trust, and the understanding that everything is unfolding in its own perfect timing.